So what is it, like 7 o'clock at night where you are, or 8? Or
It is 7:15 on the
well,
dot.
thanks for meeting with us late.
Yeah.
It's okay. I got a
Did you
meeting
have
after
dinner?
this. I did. I do 12 to 5 and then 8 to 10. But I broke protocol for you all.
That must cut into your wine time.
The struggle is real, John. The struggle
is real. There's our cold open. Hang on. Welcome to an all-new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. This podcast explores leadership traits under stress with a special guest each week. We use a simple and accurate OAD assessment to identify key personality traits or superpowers, as well as the shadow side, kryptonite traits that appear when we're under stress. As always, we'll have some pod banter, shameless plugging, and we'll even let our guests talk for a bit. Of course, no humble brags. Welcome to the show. Into and one. Welcome everyone to the podcast. Some people refer to us as Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield.
Yes.
Those people are John Lane and Will Barfield, typically. Good to be here. We have a lovely guest from far, far away. We'll get to that. I don't have a ton of banter, Will, so maybe you'll pull the show across the line. I don't know. But I will say our guest is from Guernsey. And if I'm not wrong, she's the first one on the pod from the English Channel.
Yes, I think you're right. I did not know where Guernsey was until Kerry educated me.
And did you know that everyone in Guernsey has an English accent, but all the street names are in French?
I learned that about 15 seconds ago when she said it.
Wait, you're blowing me up on this one?
Yeah.
Do we have to start over?
No. Heaven forbid you blow me up all the time. I one time.
All right, fine. I'll
one cheap shot. You're like, we got to start over. You're like the kid with the video game. You want to reset it.
Yeah, I'm the reset guy. And then just because everyone's asking, my PT is coming along nicely. So, Kerry, if you didn't know it, but maybe you did, I had shoulder surgery right after Thanksgiving. And then in early January, I had a minor knee surgery. So I've been double stacking PT. But
don't skimp on the PT, John.
I don't.
Speaking from experience.
I will not.
See it through.
I'm pushing it through. And then, Will, here's something else that we haven't talked about in the pod. We could be Noom Buddies, but we're not for some reason.
Yeah, I think you can connect on there and like encourage each other and stuff.
Yeah. I need encouragement.
Like
I've gained 1 pound. I've been on it for 4 weeks, and my result is plus 1 pound.
Are you being a good boy about the yellow and orange?
I'm doing everything. Well, I have too much red, but still, I'm always under my calorie count for the day.
We can't talk about Noom too much without them paying us to talk about Noom.
That's true. Let's move on. Well, some people refer to us as John Lane and Will Barfield.
I do.
And what else did we say about? I forget.
That we're a work in progress?
We are a work in progress. We've been off for 2 weeks, and I've forgotten how the whole damn show works.
I think the fact that you mixed it up there was great, though.
Yeah, changing it up. Someone might notice. As always, we have a special guest.
Yes.
How do we know it's a special guest, Will?
Says so on the slide.
And what do we know about slides?
They never lie. Even when information is wrong, the slide's right.
The slide is right. Kerry, how are you?
I'm good, John. Good to see you. Nice to meet you, Will.
Nice to meet you, Kerry.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Please.
Kerry Guard. I'm the CEO of MKG Marketing, which is a digital marketing agency in the US. I know that I'm over here in the UK, but I moved here in 2020 during the pandemic. I don't recommend it. So my whole team is in the US, and we specialize in SEO and digital ads, helping complex brands in cybersecurity, data management platforms, those sort of places, connect with their audiences in a really intentional way through digital ads and SEO. So that's what we do. And that's who I am in a nutshell.
Now, are you saying you wouldn't recommend moving to Guernsey, or you would?
I wouldn't recommend moving in the middle of a pandemic.
Okay. But you're happy with the
Guernsey's wonderful. Yeah, no, I love it here.
Yeah, we want to make
sure e-bike.
Yeah, the Guernsey City Council may tune in, and we don't want you slogging on your new hometown.
They're definitely watching.
It's custom. Why wouldn't they?
I don't
Who
know.
wouldn't watch? And Drexel's in Philly, right?
It is. Born and raised.
Yeah. Oh, you're born and raised.
Just west. Like
Yeah.
we're more west than Will Smith. Like way more west, but
Good to know.
But good song.
I like that joke, by the way. That was a good lyric from his Fresh
I
Prince
missed
TV
that.
show. She was hitting the TV show
Thank
there.
you.
I missed. I wasn't really I was out of my kid TV phase when that show was on, but I did have the. What was this thing called? The haircut called the fade? No, was it a fade?
The show is fading.
This show is fading. We better get moving. All right. Well, as always, we talk about leadership traits under stress.
Yes.
Which is what we do. And then we do that by going through the OAD personality assessment. As everyone knows, Will, I'm cutting to you. We use OAD to what?
Unlock and define unique superpowers, sir.
Yes, exactly.
Highly accurate and extremely easy to administer, eliminates social desirability distortions, and is built to the standards of leading international psychological institutions and rating agencies that are all across the bottom there, which tells you can trust the data.
Exactly. And I think my purple arrow is too big, so now it's right sized. Okay.
Yeah, it was a little big.
A little big. All right, here we go. So the way we introduce OAD is through the leadership style matrix, which is a 2x2, 4-quadrant gizmo kind of thingy. There's 13 typical traits. We look at folks along a spectrum of generalists and specialists, technically oriented and socially oriented and technically oriented. I am a socially oriented generalist, so I'm in the builder quadrant, a negotiator.
Yes.
You are a
technically oriented generalist, architect. I'm a developer.
You are. And as no surprise, we have another builder. Kerry is a socially oriented generalist. She is a pathfinder. Hi. We haven't had too many pathfinders. We've had a lot of negotiators, a good amount of influencers. I think only one adventurer and maybe a handful of pathfinders. So it's good to have a pathfinder on. Let's talk
She's
about.
Not your typical pathfinder.
Well, it's a great segue. Let's talk about that. So here is Kerry. Will, don't you have a question for her?
Oh, yes, I do. Kerry, how does it feel to be reduced to a 2-dimensional table?
Well, it's not my first 2-dimensional table. I've done disc and color code and all sorts.
We'll cut that out.
So it's not my first rodeo, but it's an interesting approach that I haven't seen before. It's interesting. It definitely like gets in your head a little bit. So helpful in some ways, and like, I'm an overthinker, so
Oh, that's going to come up. Yeah, yeah, we know that. So let's break this down. So just real simply, we look in this little gray box. We call these the relative traits: assertiveness, extroversion, patience, and detail orientation. They're called relative traits because while each one falls on a number line, it's the relationship that makes the difference. And so we first look at her most dominant trait. It's assertiveness, and then followed by extroversion, patience, and detail orientation. I've enumerated that down here. While Kerry is certainly a pathfinder, that's typically defined by the super high A as well as the stacked P and D. Her E is traveled all the way down here, which is what gives her analytical prowess that not all builders, myself included, have. So that's her pathfinder. And
that gap between the E and the A is very interesting there.
It's something.
And then below the midline.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's subordinate.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit of our generic stuff, Will. What do you think?
I'd love to. So, Kerry, as we've discussed pre-show and then live here, you're not that typical Pathfinder. People who take OAD and land in that Pathfinder category are going to get exactly the same generic superpower readout as you have here. So not all these are going to feel like they fit potentially, but is there one from this grouping that you believe is on target, really accurate, that you would agree with, or other people have pointed out about you?
I would say I think the driving driven piece of it's probably the most accurate. I tend to get fixated and can't shake it until the thing is figured out and resolved or moved forward, most importantly. I actually had an interesting conversation with my husband today. I was like, hey, hon, I'm going to need some help this week as I got some meetings popping up. And he's like, the kids are 8. By 10 years old, they're going to hate hanging out with their parents. So like, cool, happy to support you, but also like, this is it. So he's not wrong. And it's a wonderful reminder because it is a blessing and a curse to be, in that driver's seat.
Yeah, that's a high A.
Yeah, and you live several time zones ahead of the U.S., so I'm sure that lifestyle choice has been wonderful, but it also it can eat into family time in a unique way, I imagine.
Yeah,
it certainly does.
Kryptonite. So this again, generic. Not all of these will feel spot on or be 100% accurate, but is there one here that you think really hits the nail on the head for you?
I was trying to hide because I don't want to answer this question.
Oh, hiding.
Yes, and John can attest to this. I am not the most detail-oriented person. And this has gone back like to the dawn of time with me. The feedback on all of my report cards from my teachers was always, Kerry's a wonderful learner and she works so hard in class. I do think she could work on her grammar and spelling though. And then in my third job, when I moved to Seattle and I was in a more senior role and I was doing presentations and things, the only feedback my boss had for me was, these presentations are awesome. You're really meeting the clients where they are. Just need to work on your attention to detail. Like your grammar and spelling really need some help and support. And then sure enough, it came and bit me pretty good recently, which we'll cover later. But yeah, I am not an attention to detail person. And even had my EA read a letter for me today to say, I'm going to miss something here. So can you just tell me what to do? Like, this is a really long letter and there's deadlines in here. So can you just read this for me and like tell me what I need to deliver, when I need to deliver it? Great, thanks.
Nice.
Is that the falling D on that?
Well, it's just the AD relationship. Her A is so high, and it stands alone. It's the only dominant trait.
Spread.
And then you have that spread to the D. So it's yeah. So we're gonna isolate. We're gonna jump in on what you just said because I've got some comments. But
so this is part of your homework. You put some thought into the responses here. When you studied the results, walk us through these bullets. Super positive, definitely driven, will delegate as needed. Help us understand why these are your superpowers in your opinion.
In terms of super positive, I'm a glass half full kind of girl. Again, I think there's blessings and curses in that because sometimes I tend to like veer away from the negative, which sometimes is the reality. But it's helpful in the sense that I can move things forward. So I'm always thinking about I'm not getting stuck in what, there's a great book and I can't remember who wrote it, but it's this idea of the gap and the gain. And so I tend to not hang out in the gap. I don't really care what happened. I don't really pay too much attention or stay in the negative part of what was. And I try to look forward to say, well, what could be? And that has definitely helped us move the company forward. We had a truly rough year last year, as so many people did, especially in the agency world, where we lost a couple clients. But I was able to say, okay, what do we need to do to hang on to our team? And then what do we need to do to bring in that new business and how do we need to restructure? So I was able to really look ahead to flip us around and get us out of the upside down, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Stranger Things.
Been there.
In terms of being driven, I think these lend itself, right? So I got really fixated on the problem, which was we're in the upside down. We need to get our expenses lower than our revenue and get some profit margin in here. And I was so fixated on the problem for such a long time. And I talked to people, and I don't just sit with it with me. It's like, okay, I can't solve this problem alone. So I brought in my coach. We brought in a fractional CFO. We looked at some resource opportunities to say, okay, how are we going to get ourselves out of this jam in the short term and make some really tough calls? And then what do we need to do long term to sustain we don't want to just get outside of the upside down. We want to stay away from the upside down. So we're in a really good spot now. I actually just looked at February, and we are net profit for February in the 20% zone, which was huge. So,
Huge.
Yeah.
Good.
And in terms of delegation, this is really hilarious. I just had this conversation with my business partner. I said, Mike, we've been business partners now for over 10 years. So maybe you know this about me by now, maybe you don't. But I tend to not delegate until push comes to shove, because I don't have the patience to put together the SOPs and to bring people along. It's not the work I enjoy doing, even though I know it needs to happen. And so I need to be I need my back up against the wall, and then I will put together a clear system and process and offload a ton of stuff all at once. I did it today. I was like, I need to get out of marketing. We have an awesome awesome apprentice. And I was like, here you go, Prachi. Here it all is. Off you go. And she's hitting the ground and she's running and she's doing it. But it's just hunkering down. I can hunker down and do it. I can get it done and delegate.
Nice. Well, let's get to the kryptonite, because I have some comments on that.
So,
Kerry,
you put pen to paper, figuratively, and wrote about these. Kerry, tell us.
I want to go bottom to top. In terms of being too direct, I have a natural tendency, and this kind of goes with speaking my mind. I have a natural tendency to not be able to. I'm an out loud processor. I don't know if that's a true Pathfinder thing, but I am a true out loud processor. I need to hear it, feel it, understand it. And a lot of the times the things I say are not questions. And this gets me in trouble, because then people take what I said at face value, when it really should have had I should have said it with a little thing at the top, say, is this thing actually happening versus this thing is happening. Working on it. I have a coach, wonderful coach, who has helped me get to the curiosity part of my brain, to sit in the questions of things versus the accusations.
Oh, yeah.
Pussies. So yeah, I think that they go hand in hand of, I don't mean it, and I don't think I'm always right. It's just I make statements versus asking the right questions.
That's communication style. Yeah. That's the lower E that you have, that it comes out as very factual and direct, even if you don't mean it that way. That's kind of how the shotgun empties itself.
Really sorry to my team on the receiving end of that. It's tough.
Yeah. All right.
In terms of details, as I mentioned, I'm terrible. I am terrible with the details. I actually built my whole organization around this concept of no person is an island. And I think I did this more for me than anybody, of can we not send things out to clients without having a second set of eyes on them? Because I know how terrible I am. And I'm a good baseline. So if everybody's better at me than details, then it's going to be just a quick once over and then it can get out the door. But yeah, it is definitely something that's I don't want to say it's held me back, but I've become very aware of it. And I've been trying to put the right tools and systems and processes in place to help me navigate it, from having an EA to, having people check work before it goes out to clients, to, even having my husband, I do calendar stuff for my kids, and inevitably, even though I checked it twice, it's wrong. So having my husband read, okay, so we got this card for this birthday party, and this is the date and time, and it's in the calendar. This is right. Gotta add those, that check. Somebody's gotta check it.
Love it.
Did you want to add something here, John? You said you were going to.
I decided not to.
Or you did?
I decided not to.
Being kind, so I appreciate it.
Being kind.
Well, this is this is not your first assessment that you've taken. Clearly, you're working with a coach. You see value in that self-improvement. You're running a company for many years. You've been a leader. How do you take what you learned today on the pod with us, the things that you studied about yourself when you were looking at your results and superpower and kryptonite analysis, and apply that to what you're clearly doing with constant self-improvement, which any leader should? Conversations with your coach, conversations with yourself, conversations with your spouse. How do you take this information today and become a better leader? Apply it.
I think it comes down to understanding. I think a lot of the times we take our kryptonite and we feel like we have to fix it, right? Like, I just need to do better in this area. But I think in calling it kryptonite, and what's really helpful is recognizing that we might just not get better in that area. And that's okay. And so how do we put the right things in place to help us navigate those areas and bring people in who are better at it than us, and like recognizing that we need a little help here, and that's okay too. And I think that's really helpful of stop trying to fix us and instead lean into what we're great at. So how do we take our superpowers? I just had this to my business partner today. I was like, you have a lot on your plate and you are crushing it in sales, and I just need to clear out the stuff that you just don't need to be doing and get you in your zone of genius so that you can bank on that momentum that's happening. And because that's where you're thriving and doing really well. And I like, that's where we do our best work, is when we're enjoying the work we do and feeling good at it.
Yeah.
And feeling good at it. So I think for me, it's like, okay, these are my superpowers of being driven and being positive, and being able to lean into those in a way that helps the company move forward, of not getting stuck in the what we could have all done better and what should have happened, and being like, here's how we move forward. And at the same time, my kryptonite is my kryptonite, and I'm going to get some help and support in that. And yeah, that's what I'm going to take with me.
Love that. Our last guest on, the guest that we just had, the episode I just put on, Natasha, she used Zone of Genius too. So I like that. I might have to use that.
Yeah,
steal it.
Your zone of genius. I think the way my coach talks about it is, it's like finding the things you want to do, the things you're good at doing, and what the business needs, and finding like that intersection and then leaning really hard into it.
I love that.
All right. So you went through this experience with us, Kerry, and we're wondering if there's anybody you can think of in your network you're connected to professionally that would be next as a guest, or you think would enjoy this process and benefit from the exercise and have fun on the pod with us. Anybody?
How about Mike?
I'll put it out there to him, but I like to put people on the spot. So I'm not nominating Mike, but I'll ask him if he'd like to be on and then let you know.
I think I have to remind you how recorded video works.
You're gonna make me do that again, aren't you?
No, we're one. Our name of our non-existent production house is Slipshod Productions. But if it wasn't that, it would be like one take Louis. We don't cut things out. I don't have time for that. I think Mike's already taken the assessment. I think
Mike.
Oh,
Mike
has
Pratt,
he?
her business partner. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Then that's an easy. Sure. Yes, I nominate Mike Crass.
Oh my God! Thanks for getting us there. Bring it home, Kerry. It took us a while to get on. It's great to see you.
You too.
We're going to say goodbye. We're going to recognize that we're all a work in progress. I'm mixing it up, Will.
You are.
I'm John Lane.
I know where you're going. I'm Will Barfield.
We are a work in progress. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Kerry.
Bye.
Work in Progress is a podcast presentation of Slipshod Productions. Available on LinkedIn and YouTube. Executive produced and starring John Lane and Will Barfield. Talent booking, production, and editing by John Lane. Thanks for watching. See you next week.